Welcome to Greater Context. My name is Pastor Rich, and we are here to discuss the greater context of some pretty well-known verses to help us glean some deeper insights into the meaning behind those passages. Today we're going to look at another familiar passage, Philippians 4:13. It says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Now, I have to say that after doing some preparation for this video, I was very relieved to find that many people have come to the same conclusion that this verse is not the epitome of Bible verses for Christian athletes. What I mean by that is when I first remember hearing this Bible verse, I was not in a Bible study or doing my daily devotional. It was during a recorded interview with an Olympic long-distance runner. When they were asked what type of mental preparation they went through before a competition, he answered, "I remember the Bible verse Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." Even then, it kind of struck me as odd, yet over time I heard more and more Christians use this verse that way, and eventually I stopped questioning it. After all, everyone can't be wrong, can they? Well, it turns out they can be. When we look at the verse, we focus in on the word all. And I certainly don't want to say that all does not mean all. It does. However, the greater context is important. If I were to open a door in my house and show you a room filled with gold and silver and say to you, "It's all yours," you would be right to assume that the treasure in the room was all yours. However, the rest of the house is still mine. Just because I said all, that doesn't mean everything. It refers to all that was in the scope of what we were discussing. So, backing up a little bit, we see that Paul is talking about his circumstances. "Not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned, in whatever state I am, to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things, I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need." What Paul is actually saying is, I can be content in all circumstances through Christ who strengthens me. I can do the will of God because I am at peace and content through the presence of his Son who grants me his strength. And what's more, going back a little further, we see how Paul is able to be content. This is where seeing the larger picture is really helpful. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The things which you have learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. But I rejoiced in the Lord greatly, that now at last your care for me has flourished again, though you surely did care, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So as we consider the larger context, the greater context of Philippians 4:13, we realize that Paul is not saying I can do 1,000 push-ups and I can run 10 million miles. A case could be made that God will give you the strength to do that if he calls you to do that. But what it's really talking about is I can do the will of God in my circumstance. I can handle anything that comes at me because I'm at peace. Why am I at peace? Because I choose to think about whatever is good, pure, noble, of good report. If anything's praiseworthy, I'm keeping my mind on those things and not on my circumstance. My circumstance does not get to decide who I am and what my emotional state is. I choose that by the things I choose to think about. And so I trust that today you will choose to think about whatever is good, whatever is noble, of good report. If anything's praiseworthy, if there's any virtue in it, think on those things, and the God of peace will be with you. That's my prayer for you, and I trust you'll have a great day. God bless.